Dramatic music fades in, flashes of Jungkook looking emotional, crowd noise rising. No one expected this moment to happen, not in front of everyone. Jungkook, usually calm, collected, and composed, suddenly lost control in public. Cameras were rolling, fans were screaming, and what Taehyung did next left the entire audience frozen in shock. Cut to slow-motion clips of Jungkook turning away, Taehyung stepping closer, fans gasping. This wasn't part of any performance. This was real. And once you see what really happened between them, you'll understand why the internet can't stop talking about it. It started like any other fan event: bright lights, laughter, the sound of thousands of voices chanting their names. Jungkook smiled, waved, and interacted with fans just as he always did. But something was different this time. Behind that perfect idol smile, something was clearly building up. Taehyung noticed it first. He always did. From the way Jungkook's hands clenched slightly to how his laughter didn't quite reach his eyes. The two shared a look, brief, almost invisible to others, but heavy with meaning. Then it happened. A fan shouted something unexpected, something that hit Jungkook harder than anyone realized. His expression froze. The crowd fell silent for a moment, sensing the sudden tension. Cameras caught every second. Taehyung instinctively moved closer. His hand reached out, not to comfort, not to stop him, but simply to be there. That small gesture spoke louder than any words could. Jungkook's composure cracked. He took a deep breath, his voice trembling slightly as he said something no one saw coming, words that would later dominate every headline, every fan theory, and every social media feed for days. The stadium seemed to hold its breath. Jungkook looked down for a moment, his microphone trembling slightly in his hand. Then, with a shaky exhale, he spoke, his voice raw, unfiltered, and emotional. Studio microphone. Jungkook, softly sometimes. It's hard pretending everything's okay when it's not. The audience gasped. Every fan, every staff member, even the other members turned toward him in stunned silence. Jungkook never broke like this, not on stage, not in front of the cameras. Taehyung's eyes widened. Without hesitation, he stepped forward, closing the space between them. The crowd erupted into whispers as Taehyung gently placed his hand on Jungkook's shoulder. "Hey, you don't have to pretend now." Those words, simple but sincere, seemed to pull Jungkook back to reality. He blinked rapidly, his jaw tightening as he tried to hold back tears. The fans could feel it. This wasn't scripted. This wasn't fan service. This was real. Phones lit up the entire venue like stars. Every moment was being captured. The way Jungkook's lips trembled, the way Taehyung stood beside him protectively, and the way the atmosphere shifted from noise to emotion. In that instant, the walls came down. Two people, standing under blinding lights, showing the world what was never meant to be seen: honesty. As the cheers slowly turned into supportive chants, Jungkook finally looked at Taehyung and managed a faint smile, and that's when Taehyung did something that no one saw coming, something that sent the entire internet into meltdown. The crowd was still buzzing from Jungkook's emotional words when Taehyung suddenly took a step closer, close enough that even the cameras couldn't miss the intensity in his eyes. He leaned toward Jungkook, speaking softly enough that only the mic picked it up, but the words were crystal clear to millions watching online. Studio microphone. Taehyung, gentle, firm. "You're not alone, Jungkook. You never were." The entire arena froze. Jungkook looked at him, eyes wide, lips parting as if to speak, but no words came out. Taehyung didn't look away. It was a rare, unguarded moment between two people who had always shared an unspoken understanding. Then, in front of thousands of fans, Taehyung reached out and hugged Jungkook. Not a quick, polite embrace, but a real one. Tight. Genuine. The kind that said everything words couldn't. The audience erupted: screams, tears, phones in the air. Clips of that hug spread like wildfire online within minutes. Hashtags trended globally. Hashtag Taekook moment. Hashtag Jungkook breaks down. Hashtag Taehyung comforts Jungkook. No one expected it. No one was prepared. This was the moment that shattered every wall, the moment fans would replay over and over again, trying to understand what it truly meant. Behind the scenes, staff tried to keep the event moving, but it was too late. The internet had already crowned it the most emotional moment in BTS history, and as the lights dimmed for the next segment, Jungkook whispered something back to Taehyung, something that left even Taehyung momentarily speechless. The lights dimmed, the cheers softened, but all eyes stayed on them. Taehyung still held Jungkook close, his hand steady on Jungkook's shoulder as the crowd began to quiet down. And then it happened. Jungkook leaned in, his lips barely moving near Taehyung's ear. The mic didn't catch it, but the cameras did. Fans zoomed in, lip readers analyzed every frame, theories exploded across social media. But those standing closest, they heard it clearly. Studio microphone Jungkook, whispering, "Thank you for not giving up on me." Taehyung's expression shifted instantly, his eyes glistened, a soft smile tugged at his lips. For a brief second, he looked both proud and heartbroken. He didn't speak right away. Instead, he simply squeezed Jungkook's hand in response. The fans could feel it. Something deeper was unfolding, something years in the making. Clips flooded the internet, slowed down, edited, analyzed. Every blink, every breath became a clue. In that one whisper, Jungkook let the world see a side of him no one had ever seen before. Vulnerable, honest, real. And Taehyung's reaction only fueled the mystery. What did he mean by not giving up? As the show continued, the two stood closer than before. Their smiles returned, but something about them had changed, softer, genuine, grounded in something more than friendship or fan service. Backstage, after the event, staff members reported seeing them talking quietly in a corner, no cameras, no spotlight. Just two friends who'd been through more than anyone could imagine. What was said between them after the lights went out remains a secret. But one thing is certain from that night on, their bond was never the same again. When the show ended, the cheers still echoed through the stadium. But behind the curtains, the energy shifted. The lights dimmed, the noise faded, and what was left was the quiet aftermath of a moment that neither Jungkook nor Taehyung could take back, staff members whispered. Some tried to act normal, but everyone had seen what happened on stage. Managers exchanged looks, unsure whether to address it or let it pass. Taehyung and Jungkook slipped away from the crowd, heading toward the dimly lit hallway that led to their waiting room. Cameras were still everywhere, but this time, the real story wasn't meant for anyone else. Jungkook sat down, elbows on his knees, still breathing heavily. His mind was racing, replaying the scene, the words, the silence that followed. Taehyung stood quietly beside him for a moment, then crouched down to his level. By the next morning, the internet was on fire. Clips of Jungkook's breakdown and Taehyung's hug dominated every platform: Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, even the morning news. Every second of that moment was replayed, slowed down, analyzed, and debated. What really happened between Jungkook and Taehyung? Emotional breakdown or hidden message? The hug that shook army. Fan theories flooded every corner of the web. Some said it was a cry for help. Others believed it was a moment of deep brotherhood. But a few thought there was something more, something unsaid that connected years of quiet moments between the two. Meanwhile, HYBE remained silent. No statements. No clarifications. Nothing. That silence only made the world's curiosity grow stronger. Inside the company building, the atmosphere was tense. Staff whispered behind closed doors, trying to decide how to handle the situation. The media was already camping outside the studio gates, waiting for answers. Jungkook sat in the practice room alone, hoodie up, scrolling through endless posts. Every edit, every comment, it was all about him and Taehyung. The pressure was heavy, but something about Taehyung's words from the night before kept him grounded.